if you're in a room with someone famous, or if you're in a room with someone who's doing what you want to do, like, what do you say? What do you do? Just from having that one conversation, I was able to get my foot through the door, and next thing you know, I had the opportunity to do an internship with them. Hi you guys, and welcome back to my channel. It is Shay Michelle, and I'm so happy you are joining me. This video is going to be about what I wish I knew before college, because y'all, college is a rude awakening. So I'm going to try to give you a few tips and tricks so that your transition is a little bit smoother than my own. First things first, what I wish I knew before college is how to study. Y'all, studying in high school is very different than studying in college because the teaching style is different, or at least in my experience it was different. So in high school, usually you learn something, you do a few examples in class, you do the homework, not that far from the examples, you do the test. Very straightforward. In college, it's a little bit different. You go to lecture, you learn something, then you have homework about stuff that's like 5 times as complicated, and then you seek the help out yourself, whether it's through other classmates, whether it's through a teaching staff, whatever. You seek the help out yourself with like learning how to do something, and then you take a test. Really, it comes down to is how do you study? How do you like look for those opportunities? How do you actually go about learning the material? And so for me, the way I went about learning the material, it was a little different for each class, but it all revolved around the same idea. If there's like a textbook or something, I'm not gonna lie, in a lot of my college classes, the textbooks weren't necessary. However, when studying, I did like to go to the textbook because it's another way of like learning something just in different language. And sometimes it's that one extra step that like seals the deal in your mind. So I would say go to the textbooks, but if I had to say what to do, like when and like the order of doing it, I would say first things first, go through all of the notes or all the lecture slides that your teacher gives you, or that they do a lecture, whatever. Go through all of those like notes, make your own notes based off of those notes and based off what the teacher said, because a lot of times whatever is on like the PowerPoint is not as exact as what's actually coming out of your teacher's mouth. So making those like in class notes, and then also rewatching lectures or like going afterwards, making those extra notes. And then I would say seeking out those other resources such as other teaching staff, office hours, whatever it has to be, going there. But in all, it's practice, it's practice, it's practice. It's continuously practicing things and trying to relearn stuff in a different way. Because the more ways you learn it, the less likely you are to go into the test, hear it in a different way, and then be completely confused. Like, we want to make sure we go into that test and we're not confused. And also a little bit more on how to study. I talk about it more in my like how to get straight A's video that came out not too long ago. So honestly, oh my gosh, y'all, I finally get to link something and suggest something. So I'm gonna suggest it up top somewhere, wherever it goes. That's honestly much more straightforward into how I actually would say to study. The next thing I would say I wish I knew how to do before college is how to network, you guys. The one thing I think every college student can say they walked away from college knowing is that it's about who you know, not what you know. Obviously you got to know something, but it's also about who you know. If you know someone for a certain company, for like anything, just having your name being said in those offices or in those rooms can get you through the door. And so I genuinely felt like I didn't know how to network before college. I didn't really know how to, you know, relate to people that were different than me. I didn't really know what to say. Like, what do you say? If you're in a room with someone famous, or if you're in a room with someone who's doing what you want to do, like, what do you say? What do you do? And so I think that's a big thing that a lot of Harvard students picked up on, is like almost this charisma that you have to give off. You know, you have to come off confident. You have to be confident, and you have to just kind of like pitch your case. How do you network? So if you're in that room with that person you want to talk to that's doing that job, you go up to them, you introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Shay Michelle. I am a sophomore at Harvard. I'm interested in this. I know that you do this at your job. I would love to hear more about it. I would love to this. And so that part is pretty standard. I feel like a lot of people know do that. But then it's the afterwards that matters. So after you're done with your conversation, get that LinkedIn, y'all. Get that social media. Get that email. Especially the email. If I were to say what to get, I would say number one, get that email. Then what a lot of people do now is the LinkedIn, but I prefer the email because then it's like as soon as you leave whatever conference or whatever you're at, you can email them off the bat and say, hey, so good to meet you, would love to get connected with more opportunities, who. Because at least if you have that conversation, more than likely, if they don't know or if they're not in the field you want to be in, they can probably connect you to someone that is. Because another thing you'll learn is at all these jobs, people are very connected to each other. Do this with as many people as possible, because the more people you do it, the more people that know your name, and then the more places your name can be said, you know? And so the more likely, if you do apply to that job, you'll get it. So I'll give you guys an example where I worked. So I was at the National Society of Black Engineers conference talking to someone that worked at a social media company. This is when I was doing computer science. And so he was like, oh, apply. Like, I got your name, just apply, I'll get you through. Just from having that one conversation, I was able to get my foot through the door, and next thing you know, I had the opportunity to do an internship with them, you know? And so that's what I would say. Talk to as many people as possible, get that information, and you know what, be confident, be charismatic, and I'm sure you would be fine. You know, do what you gotta do, but be confident. And I know everybody will love to talk to you. Like, honestly, I think that's what hinders us most is we doubt ourselves. Just don't doubt yourself, just go for it. So then another thing I wish I knew before college was how to budget. You don't always want to eat in the dining hall, so you need to save money for food. You also need to save money for parties and going out and just living your best life. And so I didn't know how to budget. My tips for budgeting is to make a weekly goal. So my thing was like, how much money are you budgeting per week? Whether it's like $30, $20. Personally, I like to eat at this one restaurant and it was $10 basically per meal. So I was like, okay, I can eat there 3 times a week max. I think that's the best way to look at it, is almost just like per week personally, because I think a month is just too outlandish. Like if I were to say, okay, don't spend more than $50 a month, like that's just, in my mind, I would end up spending the $50 in the first week and then be like, oh my God, I can't spend any more money the rest of the week. In general, in order to figure out your weekly basis, what I did is I determined how much money I was dedicating towards the semester. And so I was like, okay, I will not spend more than this amount of money. Like, I refuse. You need to make sure you set your limits. And at least I got to. For me, I needed to set my limits, because otherwise I would just trample all over them, run over them, stomp over them. You're like, okay, where's this money coming from? Because you just talked about being broke. Summer internships, y'all. In college, summer internships, programs, everything I've participated in has paid me. If I had to guess, more than likely just about every opportunity you find is going to pay you something. And then you can also have on-campus jobs. At one point I worked at like the yoga studio on campus, and then I worked for like the building manager's office. So finding these little jobs that are good. You know, everyone always says find a library to work at, because at a library you can do your homework and there's not many people there to bother you at a library. So like me in the building manager's office, I just did my homework. So it was a good little job. So finding you those jobs that are pretty like mindless in college is also key. Those are like the 3 main things I wish I knew how to do before college. Luckily by the end of college, I feel like I can just about say I do know how to do them. And again, it's how to budget, how to network, and how to study. I will say though, I still think I'm figuring out how to study. I'm so glad you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys like, comment, subscribe, and tell me anything else. There's probably definitely more things I wish I knew before college. So if you think I missed anything, let me know. And let me know if you want a video on it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Y'all, the thing I read. Y'all, my camera literally ran out of storage mid-talk.